Hey y'all, what's up? I blew my gasket today. Just kidding. Today we're going to be talking about how to repair vintage taillights and repair the gasket from dry rot. So I was actually able to rebuild this gasket with RTV, which actually came out better than I thought. But I did learn a lot along the way and I did make quite a few mistakes. So let's dive in and I'll show you exactly what we did. Before I dive into everything, let me show you these taillights and what I'm actually trying to fix here. So you can see right along here, especially right here, that the gasket has completely dry rotted out. And what I'm going to do is take this RTV stuff and try and rebuild the outline of this gasket. Because when I take the cover off the taillight, you'll be able to see that this is all one piece. So it's not just this little trim that I have to replace, but is actually an entire gasket in there the way that U-Haul built it. So my dad suggested using this, we're experimenting, bear with me, to try and rebuild this taillight and the gasket. What I'm going to end up doing is taking Vaseline, and once I get these good and cleaned up after I get the lens off, is taking Vaseline and doing a little bit of Vaseline around the edges here and then rebuilding it with the RTV. And then I will cut off the excess RTV and the Vaseline will keep it from sticking to the camper and I can shape it how I want. Now this product may still stay a little tacky to be determined there, but you know, in order to waterproof this gasket to keep water from leaking in, that's what we're gonna try and do. Wish me luck. And these lenses are very old and brittle, so I really don't want to take these on and off more than I have to, because I run the risk of cracking the taillights. They're actually still very well sealed with the gasket around the taillight, so I'm not worried about it leaking into the lights and causing a short of some sort. I'm more concerned with it leaking into the camper this way. Maybe that's what caused some of the floor damage that I had with water getting underneath my vinyl inside the camper. Just fell right off all that dry rot. So that's the part that we're going to try and rebuild. Be very careful popping these off. Want to hurt it. Oh man. Okay, as you can see, the lens itself is still fine. What we're trying to do is just get this all filled in and cleaned up so that when I put that RTV on here, that we can kind of squish it into place to fill in the voids here. Because that's all you really want, is just to keep the voids from allowing water to get into your camper this way. I haven't given it a bath recently because I don't want to cause any further water damage. But as you can see, it's all one huge gasket right here. So it's not like I can just rebuild that from just a little sealer foam here. You know, it's all one large piece. So that's something that I got to get cleaned up real quick, and then we'll get to fixing it with the gasket maker. I'm gonna go put this up somewhere so it's safe and it doesn't get stepped on, because you'd have a pretty hard pressed time trying to replace one of these if you broke it. I don't want to retrofit the lights until I absolutely have to. I plan on keeping this camper forever, but this is something original that's really hard to try and replace if you need to, because people retrofit the lights after they crack. You can see like on the corners here, the lenses are all cracked, but they're still sealed when you put the screws back in. Just gonna put the screws back in real quick so that I don't lose any part of these taillights with that sneaky little cat of mine. I'm just gonna pop them in pretty lightly, and that'll help hold them in place as I'm going through the cleaning process. I'd be using a little bit of water and I can scrub the area down pretty easily. I can't wait to give this camper a bath. It needs one desperately. Rupert, go on. Don't help. Slowly but surely we'll get these things clean. Patience, which I don't have a lot of. All right, swapping over to the isopropyl alcohol now that we've got a good clean on it already. Rupert doesn't like the way this smells, so I'm not going to spray it in his face. Go on, buddy. Get out of here. Go on. I don't want to hurt you. Rotten cat. Hopefully I'm doing this right, but if I'm not, we'll learn from my mistakes. I'll have to figure out another way. That's about as clean as we're gonna get it. Let it dry. Go work on the other side. Hello from the other side. Hello from the other side. Just the same process as we used on the other one. As you can see, the taillights are extremely brittle, so we're just going to remove the extremely brittle parts and the dirt, and hopefully the rebuilding process will be able to make it look halfway decent. I don't know. Even if it doesn't look halfway decent, it needs a bath before I figure out another solution. It only got 2 baths when I went through California and Washington. As opposed to 3D printing, I would rather not 3D print these. I just love keeping everything as original as possible. So if this works and I can rebuild it this way, I will be tickled to death because that keeps the original lights. It even says right here, warning, property of U-Haul, never to be sold. Well, never say never, because it's not a rental. Rupert, you're not helping, dude. Go on. All right, all clean. So I'm just gonna let everything. Oh. Hi, Sophia. My parents' blind and deaf dog, one of them. They have 2 blind and deaf dogs. They're both sweet babies, but that's how they communicate. Hi, baby. You can't hear me. I know. Anyway, all right, well, I'm gonna let this dry out. It's as clean as I can probably get them. I may come back after it's dried and do one more just because you can see where everything's still coming off. I've scrubbed it. I don't know how much more I need to peel away the dry rot, so I have no idea. I'm gonna try and get these gaps filled in. It's so brittle. Y'all, I have my moments, but today is not one of them. I am not the master of winger of things today either, but I had my dad come out to look at my gaskets to see if I was doing it correctly because he explained it to me. I did not get a visual on it as he was explaining it to me. I'm a very visual learner, so I'm a little bit humbled today because he basically looked at me and was like, "What are you doing?" And I'll show you. Hang on just a second. All right, talk about a humbling moment. My dad came out, unscrewed the little screws right here, and the whole gasket comes out in one piece. And this is what I needed to clean. This and right here. Not right here on the outside like a genius. So I'm gonna get to working on that so we can get this project done. You can see all the dry rot just from holding it. Like it just comes right off in your hands. This rubber is just so old, and it's really cool. You can still see the clear coat, the gel coat on here, and then how neglected the rest of it is. It needs a bath so bad, and it needs a good wax job on it. But I do want to keep the original logo, so I've got to figure out how I'm going to do this. I just haven't decided yet. One day when I get done traveling and beating the heck out of it, we'll get it all fully restored. But for now, we're doing what we need to do. And then these have all been rubbing alcohol all the way around as well, so they're cleaned as good as they're gonna get. You see how much is just coming off from the dry rot, but it's clean. I don't want to over clean it either and ruin the rubber, so I'm just gonna let them dry out tonight, and then tomorrow I'll go through and we'll put on that RTV and see what happens. It may look awful. If it does, then I'll figure out another plan for when I'm done traveling, but for now this will keep it watertight until I can figure out another route. I'm going to start with the one that's in the better shape right now, because this is just, I've cleaned it about 2.5 to 3 times now. It's just, some of this is dry rotted and it's still coming off, but I'm just scraping into the rubber when I take more off, so I hope that it's enough for the RTV to stick. But I've sat here and scraped it with a screwdriver to try and get all that excess off, and all it is dry rotted rubber. So I'm just hoping this works. So the theory here is to get the Vaseline or the petroleum jelly all the way around here, so when we squish out the RTV after I put it around the old gasket, then it won't stick to the camper and we can peel it up pretty easily. So we'll see what happens here. There we go. I'm going to slather that up generously. Look at them. They're probably going to stop now. Yep. Oh. I'm going to open up this package and see what we can do around this trim. I'm going to go get the screws so I can just lock it all into place and see what kind of seal we can create. Like I said, this is an experiment. Hopefully it'll be okay. And then after I get the seal on there, I'm going to let it sit and cure for 24 hours, and then we can come back and shape it, and hopefully it'll stay adhered to the old gasket. Got my gloves on. I'm ready for some serious work. I am a little under the weather today, but the sooner I get this done, the sooner I can get out of the garage. I just have to get everything weatherproofed. So, yeah, I'm very motivated to get all of this finished, and I'm on a time crunch because I want to leave on Monday, and we're talking tomorrow, Saturday, of getting all this trimmed up and cleaned up to make sure that it's watertight. It looks like crap. It's going to look like crap, but at least it'll be keeping the water out of my camper. All right, so I'm gonna start small and see how this goes, because I've never used this stuff before. Might need to be just a little bit bigger than that. That won't hardly put out a bead. All right, hopefully I've got enough to do both, but I'm just get that air bubble out very carefully. Man, this stuff's hard to use. I don't know if I even have this in frame. There we go. Let's just try. Dog hair. Ooh. Stuff takes 24 hours to cure. Hopefully I'll be able to make it look semi-pretty and semi-nice. I don't have that great a grip strength to do this one-handed. You can do it! Alright, we're going to come back and we're actually going to put just a little bit more in some of the areas that have really had the gasket go to pieces. Like this side, yes. All right, I think I'll have enough to do the whole thing. All right, y'all, wish me luck. I hope this goes okay. Is this the right way? Yep. Okay, let's see. Before I go too crazy here. Oh, this stuff's messy. Nothing ever goes according to plan. Like the worst caulking job I've ever done. Holy moly. This is a mess. My dad said it would be messy. He wasn't wrong. Alright, well, let it dry. See what he says when he gets home. It looks sloppy as crap right now, but we'll carefully remove all of that when we pop those gaskets off and then trim it. We'll see if this one will go any better than the other one. Whoop. Man, I put a whole bunch right here. I'm almost out of the stuff. Oh man, this stuff is messy. Okay, hang on little guy. Come on, get in there. This sucks. In theory, it's a great theory, but did not go according to plan at all. Nothing ever does. It didn't squish out the way I was hoping it would squish out. I gotta go in and fill a whole bead in there if I can squeeze it out. There's still a huge gap here, even though I put a ton right there. Lovely. And my thing broke on me, so it's all gross and like I've lost a lot of the product. Actually, because it's pushing out of the tube another way, so that kind of sucks. We'll see what we can get worked out here. We're gonna try and do this nice and slow. This is where I need you the most. This one is in terribly rough shape. See if I can make that look any prettier. This stuff is just gnarly. Okay, we're just gonna have to let it cure for a day. We'll see how bad I screwed it up. Hopefully it'll look semi-decent by the time we're done, but whatever, it's not professional. Now what? Just peel it off?
Yeah, see if it will come off. Very carefully.
Yep. And my nail. Is there a tool that I can use to try and...
Yeah, we'll get a putty knife.
Yeah, because it's pulling it apart. Oh, it's not dried yet.
It's not?
No.
Should be okay after 48 hours.
Yeah, and this just comes right off. Yeah, some of it's like super thin around the edge there. That's where I tried to smooth it out. It's not like caulk, it's completely different. It's on the back side, it's still wet. Not on the exposed side. What's your thoughts?
You gotta get under there.
Okay.
inspect there.
Here. Oh, it's where it was thick. See, it's squished. You can't control which way it's squished when you put it in.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like you got more of a seal now.
Yeah.
I'd say you probably have to do it one more time.
Okay. Well, that I can do when I get back too.
Yeah, and in the meantime, you just remove all the other goop.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is still
Tacky.
real wet.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
48 hours is what it is.
Okay. Well, then I'll hold off on the other one and I'll just finish this one for this evening. I don't think that this turned out horribly. And please, I'm still in my pajama pants today. Still a little bit under the weather. I'm feeling much better today than I was yesterday. But for the purpose of this video, this is still wet in some pockets in there. So I think the Vaseline may have caused the dry time or the curing time to take a little bit longer. So I'm gonna let the other side dry for 48 hours, but since I've already got this one out, I'm gonna let it sit out for a few hours exposed to the air to help it cure. And then I'm just gonna go trim off the edges. I'm gonna get this cleaned up after the pockets that were underneath that need a little bit extra dry time, because you can see right here, it's tacky and it's not coming off. So it's sticking to my fingers. It's not supposed to do that after 24 hours, but that's also where it's touching the Vaseline. So that probably just messed with the whole dry time. But like it's weird because this right here is totally not tacky at all, and it's stuck. And even though it had the same amount of Vaseline on it, maybe there was globs of Vaseline that caused it to cure a little bit differently. This whole bit will peel up. But we'll get it good and cleaned up so I can show you what it would look like when it's all done. And I'll probably have to go back. This will be a two-step process. I would recommend having a tube for each light that you're going to be working on. And I'll have to go back and clean this up when I'm ready, when I get back off the road, because I'm running out of time if I want to leave in 2 days. So that's why I'm trying to get all of this finished up. And like I said, for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to complete this side and I'm going to let the other side cure for another 24 hours and work on that one tomorrow so that I can get on the road by Monday. And then when I get back, if I need to rebuild more of the gasket, because you only see a small portion of it, so I want to try and make it look nice, then I'll get it all cleaned up and do the same process over again. So we'll see how it comes out when it's all said and done. It's all a learning process, you know, you just have to figure it out as you go sometimes. And I don't think it's going to be awful, but it won't look like a professional did it, obviously, but it is a way to save the gasket and to rebuild the parts that were allowing leaks into the camper. So it will be fully functional. It just might not be as pretty, but one day I'll make it pretty. But it seems like it's actually not a bad process. Learn from my mistakes, because I'm sure you saw some things that I may not have done correctly. Something else that I wanted to touch on was my lights on the back of the camper. I guess the running lights. Actually, I had one that broke completely apart. It still says U-Haul on there. So it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit to take this one off, because it's one of the original taillights, you know, from U-Haul. I'm just gonna put it in a baggie and keep all the parts that I can together. But my dad went online and found some that actually just snap right on here. So here we go. Just pop my new taillights on, and that way it's protected. These have been replaced as well, but I still had two of the original U-Haul lights, and I went ahead and got a matching one for the other side. So get those lights cleaned up and these popped on as well. And then, yep, that's that. So they're from Trucklite, and 9082 is the part number. I got it cleaned up a little bit. I'm gonna go get the lens and pop it back on there real quick just to see what it looks like and see what I need to do with the remaining trim, because I've got some scissors that I'm gonna use to just very carefully trim away the excess that is not straight and see what I can do aesthetically to make it look a little bit more pleasing. You can see here where I've popped it back on, and we're just gonna trim away slowly right here and try and get this straightened. So I'm just gonna do it extremely slow and carefully. Easier to see from this side. Okay, it's gonna look better than what it did, I think. Yeah. It'll do what it's gotta do. So I've been trimming away, and let's see. It's actually not looking terrible. I'm gonna keep trimming just a little bit more. The good news here is it is completely functional and it's not completely unsightly. I mean, it is slightly unsightly, but not 100%. I'm actually pleased with the results, and we'll finish getting it together. Look at this, y'all. Like, okay, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's functional. But look at it. All right, I'm gonna pop the light back on because we are all cleaned up, and if I keep trimming away, there ain't gonna be nothing left. I'm never gonna get it perfect, and at a certain point you just have to say, okay, this is what it is, and I will work on it again later when I have time. But for all purposes, it's actually not that bad. All right, RTV, you did okay. Not the best, but also not the worst. I needed a little bit more of the gasket maker for right here. I knew that yesterday, but I'll take it. All right. Not bad for a first try. And if I get more gasket maker, I can go in and fill in these little pockets, but it's really not gonna leak any more than it was leaking. It will actually leak less if it does leak at all. So I am pretty happy with the outcome here. All right, guys, thank you so much for going down this taillight gasket fixing journey with me. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. I know what I'll do differently the next time. I am a little OCD when it comes to projects like this, not in the rest of my life, but with this I am. But I wanted to make sure that it's a little bit smoother and that I fill in some of the areas that I missed. I would recommend getting one tube for each taillight, because if I would have had some more of the gasket maker, then I would have been able to fix this a little bit better. But it is what it is. It's a learning process, and hopefully it taught you a thing or two as well. And if there is any of the products that I use that I can link, I will link them below in the description. I will also put the part numbers for the daytime running lights, because those you actually have to find on eBay or order, but having the part number can help you search for them online if you're looking to replace some of those daytime running lights as well. Anyway, I hope to see y'all down the road, and I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. I know I'll sleep well knowing that these aren't going to leak on me anymore. All right, bye.